MCs for this evening. Thanks so much for coming to the celebration tonight for DAP on their 45th annual fundraiser. Just a heads up, the event is about to start in 10 minutes, and so we want you to make sure that you have all of your stuff in order, and that includes getting a paddle for the live auction, which takes place during the program coming up in just a bit. All those paddles are available where you checked in at the front desk. And in about 10 minutes, we ask that you also wrap up your conversations and head on to your seats, because we'll be getting started right at 7 o'clock. Thank you. Thanks again for joining us. This is your 5-minute warning. The program's getting ready to start in 5 minutes, so please make your way over to your seats. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. We are going to get started. If you guys want to get comfortable, grab a drink. It is a long program, so you may want to grab a drink, a snack. My name is Heather Ellis. I am the Vice Chair of Domestic Abuse Project, and I am going to introduce our lovely MCs, Shayla Reeves and Micah Gusniak, who are going to kick us off. So please get comfortable. If you could simmer down a little, we are going to get into the program, so we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Mike Augustinak with WCCO.
And I'm Shayla Reeves, noon anchor and morning reporter for WCCO. So glad to be back with you now for a third year.
And it's in person this year. Thank you, everybody who came out tonight. It's so great to see you face to face.
Yes. And it really is an honor, Mike, to be a part of this program again. We're glad to be here to support the work of the Domestic Abuse Project for now another year.
It's going to be a great night. We have live music, and we've got a DJ scheduled because of a little bit of a change in the plan tonight, right?
Yes, absolutely. So sit back, relax, and we will take you through this evening. Now, in addition, we do know if you are a DAP team member, committee member, board member, intern, or volunteer, at this time we would like for you to stand up and wave so we can acknowledge you.
All those DAP volunteers, let's give them a round of applause.
These are the folks who dedicate themselves every day to supporting families struggling with violence in their homes.
Shayla and everybody, we have really an incredible night planned for you tonight with stories of resilience, courage, strength, and compassion. And it's all going to be shared by people who have been impacted by domestic violence and those who work to end it. You know, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 5 men are affected by domestic violence. Take a look around. That's a lot of your friends and neighbors. Statistically speaking, a huge number of folks in this room have experienced violence at the hands of a loved one at some point. Our society does not provide the resources necessary to meet the demands of rising mental health needs of those in our community impacted by domestic violence.
I'm really excited to learn more during our amazing program tonight. So let me share what the night is going to look like for you. We're going to lead with our executive director to help you understand the incredible work DAP is doing in our community. Then we'll share some very powerful and personal stories that we feel will help connect you, the audience, with our mission. We will learn about the systems our families use when domestic violence is a part of their reality and the efforts to change them. We have a wonderful young woman who is going to be singing a song for us tonight, and we're excited to wrap the night with a giving moment and live auction. One reminder is that the silent auction will stay open until after the program ends. And if you are not comfortable donating through any of these options, there is a QR code posted throughout the room that you can use to give, or you can text HEALING 2024 to 53555.
Tonight, we are here to celebrate 45 years of DAP service. Can we get a round of applause for that? Absolutely. Now, this program will probably take about an hour or so feel free to get up and move during that, grab some food, take care of yourself in whatever way you need to. To be respectful of everyone's lived experiences, we do want to acknowledge that what you hear today could bring up some difficult emotions for you. If that's the case, or if you have questions about support for you or for somebody else, there are DAP team members here in the room with you tonight, and they are there to connect with you standing at the back of the room. DAP team, can you sort of wave your hands and let everybody know where you will be? Thank you. So please take care of yourself and talk with the DAP team if you feel the need. We do have a really exciting lineup tonight. Don't you think so, Shayla?
Absolutely. So excited to share this lineup with you.
Great. Well, let's start with a video reflecting on the past 45 years of DAP service in the community.
with the support of the DAP staff, I'm making it.
There was always somebody I could talk to, and they would help me, and that was exactly what I needed.
DAPs really opened up my eyes. They were patient with me. They listened.
My relationships before I came to DAP were pretty unhealthy. You can't learn how to be with somebody else until you learn how to be with yourself.
It's mind-boggling how much power I have now over my own future, and I know there's millions of people out there just like me.
I came to DAP in the mid-'80s, so 40 years ago, and it has changed my life.
45 years ago, there really wasn't any kind of coherent effort to deal with domestic violence. I helped found the Domestic Abuse Project with 2 others. We all had experiences of working with people that were either the victims of or the perpetrators of that violence. That was a major impetus for our structuring the program.
DAP is unique because we work with everyone in the family system, victim survivors of domestic violence, with individuals that use violence, and with kids that have experienced or witnessed domestic violence.
Working with people who use abusive behavior as well as offering support to children, that's something that's really rewarding. Being able to meet people where they're at, build relationship with them, build trust so that there is room for vulnerability and self-exploration.
In our youth group programming, we're really working to help to plant seeds of what healthy relationships look like, and also give them opportunity to process through the experiences that they've had, letting them know that they have the power to be able to move forward.
DAP helps break cycles of intergenerational violence through all of our programs. We see that all the time in the ways that our clients come back and talk to us about their successes, and we hope that as they leave our groups that they continue to practice those things, and that will snowball and continue to pass on to the next generation.
Violence Free Minnesota can always count on DAP as a trusted community partner in our work at macro system-wide change in the state of Minnesota. It's imperative for our work to be successful that we have member programs like DAP willing to step in and help us do that system change work.
I believe that when one person is healed, it starts to generate out. So it's really important for us to come together as a community to support our people.
We couldn't have done all of the things that we've done without the community that's been around us, both our donors and our supporters, as well as our community partners.
The more that we collaborate, it makes me really excited to do this work, and tells me that it can last beyond DAP's years, and that's really the goal.
It gave me new tools to be a better father, be a better citizen, be a better boyfriend.
The impact that DAP has made on my life, it reminds me that I'm worthy. I believe in DAP.
I actually have a future, like I can actually see myself 5 years from now.
My life is so much more manageable now. I have a feeling of hope, and that hope tells me that I can change and become a better man, and that's huge.
You empower DAP by donating. You give them the fuel they need to do what they have done for me, and how many other thousands.
I think the impact that DAP has had is substantial. It's really rewarding, and it also creates a lot of hope.
There is a lot to celebrate over the last 45 years, and I think there's still a lot to do. Your financial support is absolutely what helps us continue to do our work, to be able to invest in our mission.
To be here and see this newer facility and see all the people that are working here, and hearing that this agency has worked with 200,000 people, that's really overwhelming. It's incredible.
That is incredible and really powerful in the ways that DAP has helped so many people and shown up for the community over the past 45 years. This evening is all about helping to celebrate that, but also to help support them in their mission to help these people support and overcome what they have been through.
And as we said, Mike and I have had the pleasure of supporting DAP and the work that you all do over the last 4 years. Over that time, we've gotten to know DAP's executive director, Amathini Keefe, quite well. Amathini has been guiding as a guiding force behind the organization's work, a loud advocate for access to justice for survivors and access to services for everyone impacted by domestic violence. Please give a round of applause for DAP's Executive Director, Amathini Keefe.
All right. I'm just noticing that I was wearing my sister's sweater. I'm sorry. I did steal that from you. So, good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be here today to celebrate a significant milestone for us, 45 years of providing essential services to families affected by domestic violence. DAP's journey began in 1979 with a simple yet profound mission: to build communities free from violence by providing holistic healing to every member of the family. At a time when domestic violence was kept in the shadows, and when the focus was largely on providing safe shelter for victims, we opened our doors to provide not only a safe place to build community and break silence, but also to build a sense of hope and healing for survivors that had experienced trauma. What made us unique was that we also created a space of connection and accountability for individuals that used violence, where they could learn that violence was a choice that they made and had control over, versus something that just happened or was deserved because of a victim's behavior. As we grew, we added on advocacy services, case management services, youth programming, which eventually included early childhood programming for caregivers and children aged birth to 5. Over the last few years, we've added on a transitional age youth program, working with young men who have used violence through a partnership with juvenile probation. And this year, we started a criminalized survivor group with survivors who have used force in relationships after long histories of victimhood. We've piloted a victim survivor group for young victims in a transitional living program, as well as a legal clinic to support victims who are trying to determine what legal path to take, as this was a gap that was identified in the community. Since the beginning, DAP has been an innovator. We were one of the first organizations in the country to work with individuals that use harm. We've had various projects with the legal and judicial system, thinking about how to pilot community-based interventions from a community-based perspective. We worked with culturally specific organizations and offered train-the-trainer collaborations in order to make our curriculum more widely accessible. We work with the University of Minnesota to do research on creating access tools to children who have witnessed domestic violence. We have done yoga studies looking at how to incorporate Eastern practices into Western models. And we're currently engaged in a program evaluation study on our intervention prevention program so that we can better hone our craft. In 2012, at the behest of the county, we created Change Step, an intervention curriculum for service members who use violence that is now used in several veteran courts across the nation and on every U.S. Air Force base in the world. We've supported other countries in building up their domestic violence services and supporting their systems change while simultaneously working with our partners in Minnesota and nationally to look at racial bias when working with individuals who harm, creating guidelines and guiding principles for doing intervention work, collaborating with systems and community partners to evaluate and ideate solutions to gaps in services and responses to victims of domestic violence, working with our county on homeless prevention for those that are fleeing domestic violence, or partnering with our coalition to create a platform for criminalized survivors to share their stories and experiences. All of these things, whether they're happening at DAP or if they're happening at other spaces, started with a conversation between 2 or 3 people, and many of them resulted in massive community change. The direct impact of our work is found in the stories of resilience and recovery. It's in the survivor who found the strength to leave an abusive relationship and start a new life. It's in the child who, after witnessing violence, learned that love and safety are possible. It's in the person who finally feels empathy for those that they have hurt, guilt for their actions, and the desire for restoration within themselves and within the community. And it's with the parents who, after years of suffering and silence, found their voice and courageously broke the cycle of violence for the next generation. A fundamental belief that we have in the intervention world, that a colleague very beautifully reminded me of the other day, is that domestic violence is not individually made. It's born out of culture that we create as a society. And it affects ripple out across entire communities, impacting everyone in some way. What is important for us to own is that if we continue to believe that domestic violence is individually made, then we as a society have no control over changing it. However, if the culture of domestic violence is in fact created by us, then the presence and impact of domestic violence is ours to be accountable for and ours to end. So as we reflect on 45 years of service, what is clear to us at DAP is that addressing domestic violence requires more than just providing immediate support to survivors, to children, and to individuals that use violence. It requires community-wide effort to prevent violence, educate the public, and advocate for systemic change. To achieve this, we need your support, we need your advocacy, we need your commitment to being part of the solution. Domestic violence is not an issue that we can turn away from. It is one that demands our attention, our resources, and our collective action. Over the years, we've worked really hard to build partnerships across sectors: schools, healthcare providers, probation, legal and judicial systems, and community organizations, because we know that no single organization can tackle this issue alone. It takes all of us being accountable for the harm that we've caused, because we all have the capacity to harm. It takes listening to and believing survivors, and working together to create an environment where survivors are supported, individuals that use harm are held accountable, and families can thrive. So again, I want to thank our donors, our board, and our amazing team. And as an organization, we want to also take a moment to thank our partners. We have innovated for 45 years because of those 2 and 3 people conversations that we've had with each of you. And we're proud to keep serving the community alongside of you. So if you have trained us or been trained by us, if you've consulted with us, if you've referred to us, if we refer to you, if you've served on committees with us, if you've disagreed with us or debated with us, if you have advocated with us, we applaud you. And you are part of DAP's legacy and mission to building communities free from violence. Thank you. All right. So now I have the honor of introducing our next speaker. Our next speaker has earned a reputation as an effective, results-driven legislator, willing to reach across the aisle to get things done. During her 8 years as Hennepin County attorney, she saw firsthand the serious and emotional toll that domestic violence can have on families and communities, and has worked tirelessly to expand funding for domestic violence victim survivor services. As a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, she helped pass the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which included provisions from her original bill to close the so-called boyfriend loophole, prohibiting intimate partners who have been convicted of domestic violence from purchasing or possessing guns. It's my honor to introduce United States Senator Amy Klobuchar.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Amathini, and thank you for your incredible leadership of this organization. I see old friends and new out there. I won't identify the old ones. From my days in Hennepin County, so many people that I greatly respect, both on the judge side and in our office. And it is just great to be here to honor an organization that stands up for the victims, but also believes in redemption. And I think we need a little more redemption right now in our society. So I remember first hearing about DAP from my neighbor, who we've sadly lost, Tom Johnson, who was a county attorney quite a while ago, and he was someone that believed in moving forward on domestic violence. I end up then being in the private sector, get in as county attorney, and was able to work with DAP quite a few times during that time. I saw the work that you've done with being a support system for families, the therapy, the advocacy, the case management, and so much more. And it was also so good to hear about the new work that you're doing, the obvious change in our own communities and the diversity of your staff and your board and your leadership and the people you serve. But I also was so pleased to hear about the work you're doing in rural Minnesota. Having been out there, for me, I just know how there's less services out there right now. Meeting with people in hospitals and the like. I visit all 87 counties every year, don't ask. And so I really know a lot about some of the needs out there. And so I truly appreciate that. I was remembering, as I told Amathini, about Sheila Wellstone, who we are coming upon the anniversary of that tragic day we lost Paul and Sheila and their beloved daughter and staff members. And Sheila especially, I remember going to small towns in rural Minnesota way back to talk for the first time as a senator's spouse and then Paul himself about domestic violence, to let these victims know that they were not alone. So outside of my office in the county attorney's office, I actually had a poster that probably would be dated right now, but it was trying to maybe too abruptly make the point that I know you understand about this cycle of violence. And it was a picture of a woman holding a baby, and she had a Band-Aid over her nose. And it said, "Beat your wife, and it's your child that can go to jail." And the point is that, I don't think I'd put that up anymore, but it tried to make that point of the cycle of violence and how it affects, yes, obviously the individual victim, but also a family and a community. Possibly the most horrific case I remember, I will save the details out, some people may remember this, but it was a woman who had clearly been abused for years. She was a Russian immigrant. Her husband was a Russian immigrant. They were very isolated. He kept her isolated. And one day he murdered her, and it was a horrific murder. He brought the body parts down to Iowa, and he ended up confessing. And so there was a funeral, and at the funeral was the domestic violence advocate from our office, me, and about 2 other people. And at that funeral was her mother, who had come from Russia, and her identical twin sister. And the family told me the story. She left 2 little kids, or maybe it was 1 little kid, but there was a little girl who was about 5 years old. And when they met the plane at the airport, she had never met her grandma, never met her aunt, who was the identical twin sister. The little girl ran down the hallway of the airport to that family and grabbed that sister and said, "Mommy, mommy, mommy," because she was the identical twin. That just reminded me about how this affects not just one family member, not just the family, but really all of us in our entire community, and DAP understands that. Together, we have made a lot of progress. I think you know that there are some numbers out there that are promising, but still the violence keeps coming. What do we need? We need, 1, strong, reliable funding to support survivors and help those that are in the cycle of abuse to get out of it. To me, that is the Violence Against Women Act, my part in this, and making sure that funding gets out to worthy organizations like yours. To you, that means anything you can do tonight to help. Number 2, we have to implement the latest version of the Violence Against Women Act that we probably got done. Of course, we've updated over the years for tribal lands and Native American victims. There were some real issues there. We made changes for LGBTQ victims, and then we have made changes for immigrant victims, and making sure, I remember a number of cases we had where people preyed on immigrants because then they thought that they would never tell, right? Because otherwise they'd be deported. So we've worked very hard at getting those special visas in the Senate. I've been able to use what I learned in those 8 years in the county and bring them over to the Senate, and then also trying my best to carry on Paul and Sheila's torch from my perch on the Judiciary Committee, where I'm now the most senior woman on that committee. I don't know if that's most people, you wouldn't care to be the most senior woman, but you know, it's the U.S. Senate. We actually still are, I think we have about 25 women in the Senate. I was once on Trevor Noah's show, and I told him how in the history of the Senate, we'd had 2,000 men and only 60 women. And he said, if a nightclub had numbers that bad, they'd shut it down. But we're not shutting it down, we're opening it up. And so I feel a special obligation. One of the bills that I just want to mention that we are proud of, now Minnesota already had this in place, but it was closing the boyfriend loophole, which I always figure is a very strange, happy sounding word for what it was. It meant that victims who were not married to the perpetrator could be shot by their boyfriend because their boyfriend was able to go out and get a gun even after being convicted in a number of states. We had hard data that showed that states that actually had closed the loophole, actually it saved lives over and over and over again. So I couldn't get it in the VAWA bill. I still remember how mad I started out, just me and Mazie Hirono, and we got more and more people. And then finally, a bit of a miracle, honestly, when we did the gun bill, which was just a beginning, but a bipartisan agreement on guns with a number of senators who were willing to cross the NRA on the Republican side, which included some work on the red flag laws, some work, of course, major community mental health funding. But one of the only policy changes we could get done was actually this bill. And there's still court cases going on that we are fighting, and we just had a case go before the Supreme Court that's related to this. So the fight goes on. I've got my part, but you've got the hardest part of all, and that's working on the front lines. And that for the victims out here and for those that have broken that cycle of violence, that is the real bravery. So I just want to thank you for your work, and I'm looking forward to working with you when we get through these next few weeks. I don't know what's going on, something. Yeah, I'm chairing the inauguration, no matter who wins. That's a fact. I'm not going to go on from there. But I am actually believe that there's a lot more good work we can do, especially getting out of an election time. It really is true. You're able to kind of move some things you can't move in the year before. And so we're going to build on the work we've done. And thank you so much for supporting this incredible, incredible organization. Thank you.
Some laxative in the French fries, maybe, at the inauguration? I don't know. Thank you so much, Senator Klobuchar. That joke was all me. Nothing to... We did not work on that. It's pretty clear. It's so wonderful to have that perspective from the legal side of things as well. And we're thankful to the community partners like Senator Klobuchar, like prosecutors' offices, the DAP staff, and donors, but also the generous sponsors that have made tonight a possibility. These organizations' charitable contributions allow DAP to show up in the community.
Absolutely, and we want to offer special thanks to our amazing sponsors. Thank you to Dave Murphy and Kelly Vosberg. Evereve, Gustafson, Glick, Deepwell Skincare, and Heather and John Ellis.
We also want to thank the Minnesota Vikings. We also want to cheer them on tonight. North Memorial Hospital, Indeed Brewing, the Perkins Foundation, Smack Shack, yes, Smack Shack, Love Conquers Violence, Kazimi Consulting, Align Circle Collaboratives, the St. Paul Saints, Clean and Cozy, Western National Insurance, and Dogwood Coffee.
If you haven't seen it yet, with the help of DAP staff, Dogwood Coffee has created a special DAP blend for the month of October. You can get some samples of this delicious blend, buy the appetizers, and even purchase a bag for yourself. Half of the proceeds of every bag goes straight back to DAP.
That's an impressive list of sponsors. Let's give one last round of applause for everybody who showed up tonight. That coffee is really amazing, too, and actually, Dogwood has a 6 months free subscription of coffee as part of the silent auction ongoing over there. So please remember that you can bid on that really at any time through the program. Well, our next speaker tonight is someone who has a deeply personal connection to the work that we are here to support. Christina Archila is a member of our board and a child survivor of domestic violence. Tonight, she will share with us her journey and how services like those we provide in our youth therapy program helped to heal and find strength in the face of unimaginable challenges. Please welcome Christina Archila.
Thank you for the introduction, Mike and Shayla, and to Senator Klobuchar for your advocacy to support victim survivors here in the gender-based violence movement. Systemic change is fundamental in the work to support harm reduction in our communities, so thank you for your work. Hello, everyone. My name is Christina Archila, and I serve on the board of directors at DAP. I'm here, oh, thank you. I'm here today to talk to you as a child witness to domestic violence. I thought really hard about my story and what I wanted to share with you all tonight, so I'll start from the beginning. This is my brother and I at the age of 4. I was, and am, clearly a proud big sister. I wanted to start here because this is the age where I could recall the earliest memories of violence in the home. When you look at us here, we seem well adjusted. And I say that because when you see pictures of kids like this, or you see them in your communities, you probably wouldn't guess what was happening in their home. You see, kids like me, we mask well, really well. And that's our way of self-preservation and survival. Throughout my childhood, I would hold multiple titles: class president, saxophonist, captain of the debate team. Those were my personal tools of survival. And that's honestly what my story is today. You see, I could tell you stories, like when I climbed out of a window at the age of 4, clutching a note in my hand, running to my neighbors for help. Or when I was a teenager, hiding my brother in his room, turning on his PlayStation with the volume turned all the way up, spying down the hall, waiting for that moment of impact so I could call 911 in hopes that that hit would be severe enough to take away her abuser, but not so severe that it caused permanent damage. You see, I have plenty of those stories, and some of which are quite graphic, but I would rather you hear the story of resilience. So let's just skip to the end for a moment. I'm very proud of the people my brother and I became. My brother is a mechanical engineer in maintenance at a mine, and he does honest work. He's a family man, prioritizing them always, and proving himself to be the most amazing father and husband. And their family energy is just so much fun to watch and be around. My brother has overcome a lot of obstacles, and he's grown into an amazing man. And I know he's watching tonight, so I just want to say I love you so much, baby brother, and I'm proud of you. And you know what? I grew up to be pretty cool, too. I'm a fierce women's and youth rights advocate working for an organization that supports survivors of trafficking. And I volunteer regularly in the community, including my work here at DAP. I'm an amazing cat mom. And best of all, I have an incredible network of people who support and love me. Ultimately, my brother and I became resilient against all the odds. And I mean all the odds. But understand that resilience can only get you so far solo, and it takes a village. Nothing in this life is done without community, and we have definitely had support along the way. One of those ways I mentioned were those extracurriculars. That was and still is my coping mechanism. But the other was services. Now, while I'm not a client of DAP's, I can speak to the importance of services. At 15, I began attending group sessions similar to what DAP offers in a program called Alateen. If you're unfamiliar, it's similar to AA, only it's for youth who are the children of addicts. It was the first time that I heard my stories being shared out of the mouths of others around the horrors of the literal highs and lows, and often the violence that accompanied it. A lot of processing in that space required visiting pain, which is admittedly hard. But I learned new coping skills and even remember making friends. And sometimes post-group, we'd go to lunch and we would experience joy with one another outside of that pain. As weird as this sounds, being in group and in a community of shared experiences granted me a sense of normalcy in a life of chaos. And that's because this is an unfortunate normal. It is normal for 5 million children each year in the United States to be exposed to domestic violence. And it can have some serious ramifications. Children who witness domestic violence are more likely to experience poor physical health as an adult, including significant physiological alterations to our DNA, aging us on a biological level 7 to 10 years, reducing our life expectancy. We are 6 times more likely to commit suicide. We are 50% more likely to abuse drugs and alcohol. And we are 74% more likely to commit a violent crime against someone else. Our brain scans show similar outcomes to that of a combat veteran. And worst of all, we are 3 times more likely to repeat the cycle into adulthood. This is why prevention and intervention is so important. This is a matter of public safety and health. Now, don't fret. Look at me standing here today. I am resilient and I am strong. And my strength comes from my kindness, my empathy, but most importantly, it comes from my community. And I'm here to tell you that every single one of our kiddos is strong as well. They just need resources and services like the programs offered here at DAP. After the disruption of the pandemic, DAP had to turn to one-to-one therapy. But we're excited to announce that we have actually returned to group programming for youth so they can have similar experiences to mine and know that they are not alone in their normal and they are valued in their community. Sorry. So I call on you all tonight to spread our message of hope and not of one of pain. Because on behalf of Child Witnesses, I need everybody to know we are not lost, we are not hopeless, and most importantly, we're so much more than a disheartening statistic. And with your help, we will empower ourselves to break the cycle of abuse and generational trauma, because inside all of us lives a light of resilience and love. And I thank DAP for giving so many children in our opportunity the chance to overcome that pain and see that light within themselves. Oh. Thank you all for being here tonight, whether in person or on our live broadcast. And if you're able, please consider a final donation before our program comes to an end. Together, we can inspire light and love and end violence in the home and in our communities. Thank you.
What a story, what inspiration. Thank you so much, Christina, for your powerful story and for your advocacy for therapy services for children and young people. Well, unfortunately, Lydia Eliza was not able to be with us tonight, but we have something truly special for you. Riley Johnson's family is connected to DAP as volunteers and through service on the DAP board. Riley's family has struggled with the challenges of multi-generational domestic abuse and are committed to stopping the cycle. Riley's family believes that the more domestic abuse is talked about in the open, however uncomfortable it might be, the closer we get to ending it for good. Riley will be singing My Tears Ricochet by Taylor Swift from the movie It Ends With Us because of its connection to our cause. Let's give a hand to Riley.
Oops. Okay. Oops. Okay, he did a pretty good introduction, but hi, I'm Riley, and I'm going to be playing My Tears Ricochet by Taylor Swift, and as he said, it does connect to the cause, so yeah, that's kind of it. Even on my worst day, did I deserve, babe, all the hell you gave me? 'Cause I loved you, I swear I loved you, till my dying day. I didn't have it in myself to go with grace, and you're the hero flying round in saving face. And if I'm dead to you, why are you at the wake, cursing my name, wishing I stayed? Look at how my tears ricochet. We gather stones, never knowing what they'll mean. And if I'm on fire, you'll be made of ashes too. You know I didn't want to have to haunt you, but what a ghostly scene. You wear the same jewels that I gave you as you buried me. I didn't have it in myself to go with grace, 'cause when I'd fight, you used to tell me I was brave. And if I'm dead to you, why are you at the wake, cursing my name, wishing I stayed? Look at how my tears ricochet. And I can go anywhere sink beneath the waves. You had to kill me, but it killed you just the same. Cursing my name, wishing I stayed. You turn into your worst fears, and you're tossing out blame, drunk on this pain, crossing out the good years, and you're cursing my name, wishing I stayed. Look at how my tears ricochet. Thank you.
Riley, that was incredible. Another hand for Riley. Riley, I have a text from Travis Kelsey. He wants to talk to you later, I think. That was incredible. Boy, such talent. Next on tonight's program, we want to introduce you to somebody whose story touches at the heart of why domestic violence is not just personal, but also a really important public health and public safety issue that impacts us all.
Kim Adams is a mother whose son tragically lost his life while trying to protect a stranger during a domestic assault. Her story is a reminder of the urgency of what we do and the far-reaching impact of domestic violence. Her story is one of pain and loss and violence. Her story is also one of forgiveness, healing, and restoration. Please join me in welcoming Kim Adams as she shares her son's story, her story, and her message of hope and advocacy.
Hi, my name is Kim Adams, and I am honored to be here. I am going to share with you a portion of my story of how my life has been deeply and permanently affected by domestic violence. I have 2 children, a daughter and my son Devin, who arrived 4 years later. As an adolescent, he was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, and we were very close. Despite his challenges, he worked hard to establish his own tree trimming business. He drove a stick shift, preferred flip phones, and didn't use social media. I wish I could be like that. When I woke up on March 9th, 2023, I had no idea my life was about to become a living nightmare that would destroy me physically, psychologically, and financially. I would never be the same. Earlier that morning, a woman, unknown to Devin, was forced into her vehicle at gunpoint. This was not the first physical assault she had endured that morning. The man who had forced her into the vehicle drove her to a parking lot and parked the car, not far from Devin. My son was sitting in his truck when he heard a woman screaming. As a man of integrity and his ASD, there was no hesitation. Devin got out of his truck and walked over to the woman who was bleeding and in fear for her life. Devin confronted the man who was beating her. They had some type of verbal confrontation, and Devin was shot. My son lost his life that morning, but he did save that woman. After hearing the details, I said, "Of course he did." Remarkably, later that week, 2 men were charged. I learned that they were strangers to my son. The primary suspect was the father of the victim's children and the one who shot Devin. Another was the individual who witnessed my son's death and helped the suspect after the fact. Just over a week later, I was in court for the first time, looking into the eyes of the individual who took my purpose for the last 27 years. Within the next 15 months, I would eventually see this man 22 more times. And that is when I realized my true strength and resilience. As parents, we never expect to bury our children. But when another human being intentionally takes your child's life, it is beyond devastating. And the physical pain does not expire. I knew my faith would get me through this, but it was going to hurt a lot. That man took my son. I refused to allow him to take me. I began the process of grief and immediately sought help and healing. An unexpected but significant part of my healing began during the first court hearing when I locked eyes with the accomplice. He looked right at me. It was as if he saw a ghost. I knew that moment this guy was going to help me somehow. I said to my advocate, "I'm not worried about this dude." My intuition knew he was going to save my life, and he did. Over the last 19 months, my relationship with him has encouraged grace, forgiveness, and a deeper level of healing that I never thought was humanly possible. Now I call him friend. According to Violence Free Minnesota in 2023, 40 people were killed. Some were bystanders like Devin. Many feel that this is a private family matter and no one else's business or problem. I can confidently tell you that this is clearly not true. The unacknowledged collateral damage in Devin's case includes the loss of the killer's own future and access to his children, who will never see their father again outside of a locked facility. The sorrow and loss for all the families involved is inconceivable. No one is immune to the potential impact of domestic violence. My children did not experience or witness domestic violence in our home. Devin could be anyone's son, and the victim could be anybody's daughter. Turns out that the victim and my daughter had more in common that I feel comfortable saying here, but to me, that was a clear sign that this tragedy was being orchestrated by a power much greater than myself. The continued parallels in this story fueled my strength, perseverance, and peace. I miss Devin immensely every single day. So what is my point of sharing my story? Well, something's got to change. This organization has been providing services for 45 years, so obviously something is working. They have served thousands of people over the years. I need your support to serve thousands more. Knowledge is power, and having access to resources like DAP for victims and perpetrators is what will help reduce domestic violence and could prevent situations like what happened to Devin from happening to other people in the community. If there were more organizations like DAP, my son might be alive today. So, I am speaking today in the hope that Devin's death was not just collateral damage, but that his loss is a catalyst for change. And thank you for hearing my story.
Resilience, strength, perseverance. These are the words we're hearing tonight. Kim, thank you for sharing that unbelievable story. Riley, thank you for sharing your voice tonight. And Christina, there you are. Unbelievable. They embody what those three words were. But this room, you will all embody hope. This organization provides hope. And tonight, I'm here to ask you to give. I'm your auctioneer. My name doesn't matter. What matters most is that you all are going to rally right now and show these amazing individuals in this organization why you're here tonight. So are we going to have a little bit of fun? Boy, this is not a golf tournament, right? This is a fundraiser. We're going to lift these human beings up and those that came before them and after them and show that we're supporting an amazing organization like this. So are we going to do this? So we can have some fun and raise some money right now. Yes. Here we go. Please pull out your bid card, which you guys should have seen here, all of you. I'm going to ask you to give and give generously, and I want you to be proud of what you give and hold it high. So I decided to do this. Please give. Can I see all your bid numbers right now in the air? I'm not going to call on them. Good, I can see one there. Thank you. I will call your number out, but hold it up. Be proud of what you're going to give. Every level is super important tonight. And after we finish a level, we as a collective group applaud everyone that gave at that level, all right? So here we go. Our first level, we've always been told if you don't ask for it, you don't get it. This is a very large number, and we haven't done this before. Is there anybody in this room right now that would be willing to do $5,000 to support this amazing organization? $5,000 continues the sustainability of this organization to do the amazing things to do in the community. If we don't get it, we move to the next level. Is there anybody at $5,000? Hold it high. We'll go to the next level, $5,000. Anybody? How about this? $2,500 to continue the sustainability of this organization. Is there anybody here that wants to do $2,500? It's okay. We've got lots of levels. Yes, there's one right there. Give him a round of applause, everybody. Hold it up high. Bid number 24. Thank you so much, sir. That's what that's about. I will get off the stage, but I won't call you out. I'm Italian. I move around fast, okay? Anybody else at $2,500 to match him to keep this going? Last and final call. You know what we do. We celebrate every gift. Sir, thank you so much for your $2,500 level. That's what it's all about. Our next level, and we're going to tie some things to these. $1,000. Be careful, don't hold it up yet. I'm going to tell you what we're doing. Because I want you to know how important this gift is. We're going to provide trauma-informed therapy. A gift at this level will pay for one group of therapy for 12 individuals by a trauma-informed therapist. How about that? Tangible gifts in action. Who at $1,000 right now wants to help? Sir, yes. Thank you. Bidder number 23, thank you so much. Bidder number 15, thank you, ma'am, so much. Anybody else at the $1,000 level to help with these therapies? $1,000. We got two amazing gifts right there equaling $2,000. With that $2,500, we're at $4,500 in this. Awesome. Anybody else at $1,000? I'm just going to look over here one last time. Over here. What do we do when we raise that money? Collective round of applause for both of you individuals. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you, ma'am, over here. Please give. That's what we're doing, right? Our next level. Child-parent psychotherapy for $500. A gift at this level will provide a month of child-parent psychotherapy, helping to form healthy attachments and violence prevention. Who here wants to lift it up high and be proud of $500? Yes, sir, thank you. Number 21. Thank you, bidder number 21. Right here, bidder number 4. Thank you, sir, so much. In the back, bidder number 10. Yes, ma'am, thank you so much. Ooh, 100. I love to see that. Bidder number 100. Thank you. Anybody? Yes, bidder number 8. Thank you so much, ma'am, at $500. That's awesome. Anybody else at $500? Over here, yes, right here. He doesn't have a number because he was so excited about everything, he wiped it off. He's up in the front row. We'll come find you at $500. Give him a round of applause. He's got glasses. We'll find you later. $500. Anybody else at $500 here? Going once, going twice. Let's celebrate those gifts. You too, sir, without the bidder number, we appreciate you. $500. 3 more levels. As I mentioned, every gift counts, right? That's what this is all about. Here we go. Diagnostic assessment for $200. A gift of this amount will help someone get the assessment they need to help begin services at DAP. That's what we're doing, $200. Anybody here want to do 200? Hold it high, hold it proud. Yes, bidder number 22, is that correct? Thank you, sir, so much. No bidder number here, but ma'am, thank you right here in the red with the scarf at 200. We'll come get you, or when you check out, you can tell them your name. Thank you. Hold it high, hold it proud. Bidder number 31, thank you so much. In the back over here, sir, I see you waiting. He's got like a maroonish Gophers for Saturday Gopher game. Yes, sir, thank you. Bidder number 42, thank you, ma'am. Keep the cheers going. That's energy. That's what we need, right? Bidder number 26, thank you, sir. Yes, here we go. We don't have one here either, but she's got fabulous glasses on. You cannot miss her when she walks out. Thank you for your $200 gift. Anybody else at $200 here? I'm going to look. I'm going to get up here so I can see this beautiful crowd. $200. What do we do when we get those gifts in? We celebrate everything because it's important, right? Last 2 levels. Individual therapy session. Happen, right? There we go. A gift of this amount will help someone get a trauma and domestic violence informed therapy session. These are important. $100 right here. Tangible gifts in action. Hold them high, hold them proud. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much at $100. When you check out, tell them that you made a gift at $100. She's got a great flower dress on. They're like making notes. Flower dress, beautiful glasses. I love it. Gopher shirt. Anybody else at $100? Anybody over here at $100? Hold it high. Yes, right over here, ma'am. She's got it right over here. You can see her with black. I like that. Brown. Yep, you're good. She's like, yeah, shrug it off. Good. $100. Anybody else at $100? If you have your bid number, hold it up. If not, hold your hand. Going once, twice. Let's celebrate those gifts at $100. We're down to our last level here. Last level right here, right? Please give. This is what we're doing. This is an easy thing to do. This is a safety planning and advocacy for $45. And we ask, if you make this gift, would you be willing to do it for the year? $45 a month, ongoing, unbelievable. And here's what it is. A monthly recurring contribution to help this unbelievable organization meet the increased need for advocacy services for victim survivors in the community. Who here wants to do $45 and let's make it for the entire year? Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much right here. We got one right here. So, ma'am, right here in the blonde, right here. She's got a great necklace on. Necklace. Thank you. Right here. Thank you so much. $45. Right here in the white shirt, up here, white long sleeve. We got another individual here. Thank you, sir, at $45. Cheer this on right here. Thank you. Yes. Anybody else at $45? $45. Gifts in action. That's what it's all about. Hey, can we give one big round of applause to you all in that moment? Thank you so much. Thank you to our amazing speakers. I'll be back in just a few more minutes. I'm going to bring Mike back up. We've got a live auction, but first we've got one more speaker coming up here, Mike.
Thanks, Nick. Hand for Nick, please. Nick, I didn't know you were going to be here tonight. It's great to see you. All right, so our final speaker tonight is someone who has seen the devastating effects of domestic violence on families every day in the courtroom. Referee Mary Madden recently retired after serving 16 years as a district court referee in 2 Minnesota district family courts. She practiced family law exclusively for 20 years before joining the family court bench in 2008. In 2019, Referee Madden was one of 13 judicial officers in the county selected as a fellow to participate in the Judicial Engagement Network's inaugural fellowship program. In 2021, Referee Madden received the 4th annual ABA Commission on Domestic Violence and Sexual Violence Judith S. K. Award for Judicial Excellence. Referee Madden is currently a consultant and a trainer with the Council of Juvenile and Family Court Judges and the Center for Justice Innovation. Please welcome tonight Referee Mary Madden.
Thank you. I feel like the keynotes have already been heard tonight. And I applaud you for sharing your stories. I know that they are difficult to share, but I also know that they can be an amazing part of healing. So thanks for your generosity tonight in doing that. I'm deeply honored to be with you tonight, and I know that everyone who worked tirelessly to put this event on tonight is honored that you are here tonight as well. As we both mourn and celebrate, this is always a wonderful event. In preparing my comments tonight, I look back, as you know, we're celebrating DAP's 45th anniversary. I looked back at the domestic abuse statute, which is codified at Minnesota State Statute 518B, known as the Domestic Abuse Act. That was also enacted in 1979, 45 years ago. So within about 6 months after the statute was enacted, DAP was founded. So as many of you know, that statute permits petitioners, victims, and survivors of domestic violence to seek orders for protection. That statute, when it was enacted in 1979, was 3 pages long. It is now, 45 years later, 15 pages long. That expansion of the statute did not happen without the efforts of many in this room, obviously DAP, and many others who came before all of us. And it did not happen without tremendous loss, grief, and resolve to do better. I too am a survivor of domestic and sexual assault, but that is not the capacity in which I'm speaking to you tonight. I am speaking to you from a systems perspective, specifically the legal system that everybody knows and loves. Systems can often be a dirty word. Systems are inflexible, they fail, they don't adequately meet litigants' needs, and in fact, sometimes they do more harm than good. But systems, specifically tonight, the legal system is inextricably linked to the work that we all do to better address issues of domestic violence in our society. As indicated, I had the privilege of serving on the family court bench for 16 years. I signed thousands of emergency orders for protection, heard thousands of domestic abuse cases, and made decisions to the best of my ability about custody and parenting time in family court matters involving domestic violence. But I too struggled with, what are we doing here as a system? Orders are issued for 2 years. Oftentimes they're dismissed before that 2-year expiration date. Many expire at the 2-year explanation date, and the families are left with the same mess and dynamics that got them there. And is it our job as a legal system to do something about that? Or do we rely only on organizations like DAP? Well, after that first couple of years, the opportunity arose for the district to apply for a federal Department of Justice grant offered by the Violence Against Women Department. And that was the first of 3 grants that we received between 2008 and 2021. The first grant was in 2015. It was called the Family Court Enhancement Project Grant. And the goal of that grant was to improve the family court response to custody and parenting time cases involving domestic violence so that the resulting orders, and that doesn't just mean orders for protection, but orders issued across the board in family court, would better protect the emotional and physical well-being of victimized parents and their children. The district identified 4 challenge areas to address barriers and gaps that we identified that are faced by victims of domestic violence and their children participating in legal proceedings in family court. That grant required us to formulate a collaborative work group to implement our intentions and do what the grant required us to do, and DAP was an integral part of that work group. Consistent with DAP's philosophy and the things that we had talked about as a system, as a court, is what role do we play? What can we do differently? And so we started a pilot child-related relief calendar. And the goal of that calendar was, one, to provide custody and parenting time arrangements, specifically in orders for protection, that better protect the safety of well-being and well-being of petitioners and their children, holding offending parents accountable for abusive behavior, and establishing the least restrictive parenting time arrangements, considering those two primary considerations. So as a collaborative partner, DAP brought the voices of victims and survivors to inform the work that the court did. They offered, as you've heard tonight, domestic violence programming services that were necessary for us as a court to try to build in that offender accountability, and very importantly, therapeutic services for victim survivors, including our youngest survivors, our children. So the result of that pilot, which I'm happy to say was successful, there were initially only 3 out of 15 judicial officers that heard those calendars, so we could kind of work out the kinks and try to get some consistency in how we approach these issues and in our decision making, because you know the court has lots of discretion, so decisions can be all over the board. But within 2 years, all 15 judicial officers were hearing those cases, and we went from a pilot to the way that we did business at the court. We institutionalized that approach, and it became part of the fabric of the court system. As a result, we also became, that specialized model calendar resulted in us being able to apply for and obtain a second federal grant from OVW, and that was in 2017, the Mentor Court Initiative Grant, which allowed us to serve as a national model to share experience and expertise with courts around the country that were facing the same challenges, identifying similar gaps and barriers, and wanting to do better. DAP was also a partnering agency for that grant. Our last grant was our Justice for Families grant that was received in 2018 and carried us through to 2021. The focus of that grant was education of training in courts, court-related personnel, court-appointed personnel, and business and community partners. The goal was to enhance the infrastructure of the courts, enhance community-based services, and enhance offender management, monitoring, and accountability programs. And again, DAP was by our side as a partnering agency in that grant. So in closing, I will just say that systems change is not easy, in case you hadn't noticed. Blood, sweat, and tears were shed by dozens who invested the time, energy, and hundreds, if not thousands, hours doing that grant work over the last 8 years. Systems change, while not easy, is also essential for long-term change on issues of domestic violence. DAP's partnership with the courts has been instrumental to our ability to try to engage in remedying this issue in a better way in our court system. I can't speak for family court now that I'm not there anymore, but I can say that when I was there, family court was extraordinarily grateful for DAP's work with individuals, their work in communities, and their work with systems like ours that must also be the agent of change on issues of domestic violence. So I thank you for your time, and I thank you, DAP.
Thank you, Referee Madden, for your insight and for your important work in the courtroom and in the community. It's clear that the fight against domestic violence requires a lot of resources and approaches, from legal intervention to mental health services to policy making and everything in between. At this time, I would like to welcome back to the stage DAP's Executive Director, Amathini Keefe.
Hi, Sloan. Sloan's totally freaking out right now that I'm back up here. So before we wrap up the night, I'm just going to extend it for a few more minutes, and I'm going to ask the leadership team and the supervisor team to come up here. And please don't make me find you and call you out, because I will. So Greg, Lauren, I know you're hiding over there. Got to get up here. And if the board members could grab the flowers that are around the corner. So I wanted to say, I've been at DAP for about 7 years. And it's been a wild ride. By wild, I mean absolutely crazy. But we went from, when I started at DAP, United Way had just cut funding for domestic violence organizations in our area, which made it really difficult for a lot of organizations, including ours. And that happened like 2 weeks before I started, so it was really fabulous. But we went from really struggling and having a lot of challenges for many years, to surviving, to now thriving. And that is very much because of the folks that are behind me and some folks that are scattered about in the room. Yep. So I just wanted to, I will say leadership is lovely. You have the opportunity to say things and people will listen sometimes. You get to, at a small nonprofit, make a lot of opportunities, and you get to innovate, and you get to do that much faster than systems, as Mary was talking about. But leadership can also be lonely. It can happen in a vacuum sometimes. It can be thankless. So we give each other high fives virtually in a small room, but I thought it would be nice to do that in front of a couple hundred people. So I wanted to say, Greg Schock is our finance director. He's been at DAP for about 7 years. He is very good at audits. That's what he brings when we have to bring like a token item for our retreats. It's like a good audit. Other people bring other things, but he brings his audits. He loves Doritos, and he is a wonderful person. We have Noreen Wilani. Noreen is our director of programs. She is just a spitfire. If you've met her, you know. She's been at the organization for about a year and has absolutely just magically buttoned everything up and is very much a part of why we're thriving right now, along with her partner in crime, which is Lauren Hoffmeister. She's our director of operations. She is like the wizard behind the curtain that does not like to be seen usually. She is also very handy, so if you need anyone to like rebuild your home, she's the person that will do it. And last but not least, we have Sloan Konstam, who is the reason that we are here tonight and having such a fabulous time. She's the person that put all of this together along with her team. So I want to say shout out to Hayden if you're here, Carling. I see you, Carling. I also want to, yes, thank you, supervisors. I was wondering where you were at. Hiding. So these three wonderful ladies, I will say, who are taking their time. Okay, Sadie Cunningham. I feel like you have grown up with DAP. She started out as an intern in Cindy's program over there. Thank you for supervising her. She then became a contract staff in our intervention prevention program, and she is now our supervisor in our intervention and prevention program. And Rita Tagosola Wilkes. She is a transplant from Hawaii. We are so grateful. We want her to stay here.
Yes. It's cold.
It's cold.
It's very warm.
It's been a really, I'm glad for the weather right now. She is our advocacy and case management supervisor. She is all hearts. And Najee Dennis is our Youth and Victim Survivor Program Supervisor. And she makes us work. She makes us do a lot of really depthful and important reflection. And she does it in a very kind, generous way. So I want to say that I have had a lot of fabulous experiences in my timeline at DAP. But as a leader, this has been the most blissful year for me because of the people that are standing behind me and because of the amazing team that is out there, all of our direct service providers that have absolutely worked collectively as a beautiful community at DAP. And I'm so proud to be part of this team, and I'm so proud of all of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
I'm just going to hijack the mic real quick because we need to give this woman a round of applause. Amazing. She put this team together. She's keeping it all in place. This is the most amazing dream team. And last year, it was like, how are we going to survive? And with this team, we're thriving. And with your help, we're thriving. So thank you so much, and thank you for all that you do.
All right, so now I'm going to have Shayla and Mike come back, and we'll wrap it up for the night.
While this dream team is filing off, I will bring everybody an update. The Vikings are tied 14-14 right now. Heading into halftime. Okay.
All right. Well, what an amazing evening, and let's give one more round of applause for the incredible DAP staff putting this together and the important work that they do every day to make sure that victims of domestic violence and their families feel seen, heard, and supported. Your presence here in the audience today, all of you, it has meant so much. Your support and generosity are what make the work of DAP possible.
And on behalf of Shayla, I'd like to say that this is one of our favorite events every year.
Yes.
We're very grateful to be here and to be invited back year after year, and it's so great to see you. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you back here next year.
Listen, baby, ain't no mountain